Welcome to Tech Meets Wisdom. Today's special guest is Preethy Padman, and she is going to share with us about the power of inner awakening through meditation. Stay tuned for more. Well, welcome to the show, Preethy. It's such a pleasure to have you here. I know you are full of wisdom and so much enlightenment. I would love to know more about what you have inside of you.
Thank you, Geeta. It's an honor to be here, and I appreciate you inviting me to Tech Meet Wisdom. I'll introduce myself.
Yes,
my
please.
name is Preethy Padman. I run marketing for a startup, and I'm also an angel investor in a couple of funds. But that's one part of me, right?
Yes.
That's not my whole self. The other part that I'm really proud of, and sorry, shall I do this again?
No.
No. Okay. The other part that I would like to share is that I teach meditation programs around the Bay Area through the Art of Living Foundation.
Yes.
And I volunteer in several nonprofits, and I've been on the board of several nonprofits to give back to the community.
Yes. Yeah, you're amazing. Like you have this whole corporate side to you, and then you have this whole spiritual side, which is, the two different worlds. The balancing act is such that you do it so beautifully.
Thank you. It's actually an integration, I believe, because we are one person. We bring our whole self wherever we go, be it to work, to relationships, to our community, and I believe by combining what we can offer to the world, and then strengthening our inner roots, our inner self. By strengthening our inner self, our outward projection of ourselves becomes so much more stronger.
Yeah, you're such an inspiration, I have to say, because it takes something. It takes something to understand when you are successful in the career, in the corporate arena, and moving through success so quickly. But then there's something that's the foundation, which is your spirituality and your in meditation. So this is where the inner awakening comes in, and I want to know more about that. So how do you
Absolutely.
practice that?
I'd like to take a step back, right?
Okay.
When you say meditation, there are different interpretations to that.
Sure.
And how I've come to understand what is meditation is that it's the way by which I bring my mind to the present moment. And
Beautiful.
and behind meditation, many people think meditation is concentration. Actually, the result of meditation is concentration. Meditation can be very effortless.
Let's say that again.
The result of meditation is
meditation
concentration.
Is concentration.
And meditation itself is very effortless.
Meditation is effortless.
Yes.
Beautiful.
That's the beauty. And one more thing I want to add is that oftentimes people, when they sit for meditation, our monkey mind.
Yes.
Have you heard of the term monkey mind?
Well, I have, yes.
Right? And
because I have one.
Well, we all do.
And but in the Chinese New Year, I am a monkey.
Oh, wow.
So I really have a monkey mind, and I am a monkey.
Nice. And our mind goes everywhere.
Yes, it does.
And when we sit down and close our eyes for meditation, people may experience that they are not able to bring the mind to the present moment.
That's very difficult for most people.
Isn't it? Now, there is a secret, right? There is something that connects our mind and body, and that's the breath.
The breath.
Yes.
Uh-huh.
By using the breath, we can bring the mind to the present moment very easily.
And that's, people will say, well, I breathe all the time. And so what do you mean by that?
Well, that's a very interesting point you bring. Have you noticed how the breath is when we say experience emotion? Say when we are angry.
Yes.
What happens to our breath?
Oh, it's become shallow, or you start fuming, like, really breathing hard, or
Yeah.
you're just not, it's not the normal
It's
rhythm.
not the normal. And then say when we are afraid, right? We almost hold our breath.
Yeah, we don't breathe.
Stop breathing, right?
Yeah.
And then when we are happy, we take a deep
Yeah.
inhalation, right?
Yes.
So if you see that, the emotions change the way we breathe.
Aha.
Now we can flip that around, and that's the magic, right? When we breathe a certain way, then our emotions can become grounded and our mind can come again to balance.
So if somebody is feeling, maybe a little anxious, what should they, because when you're anxious, it's like almost like you can't breathe. So what should a person do for that?
Well, I think, we've all heard taking a deep breath in, right? At any point when we are having that panic or something, we pause and take a deep breath in, right? But then oftentimes people might like, okay, it might be very difficult at that time, right? That's why it's always good to have a daily practice. And that's what I teach in the happiness program, in the art of living. And what we teach is a special technique called the sky breathing technique.
First of all, I have to say, I love the term happiness program.
Isn't it
That just
beautiful?
makes you happy, just
Yeah.
listening to, like, what is that happiness program? And then you have sky in there, which is the sky's the limit.
It's beautiful. Yeah.
It's great. I love it.
And so I practice the sky technique every day. And that helps me bring my mind at a calm state. It's almost like, we actually, as we go through our day in technology or in business or any other field that we are,
Yes.
our mind gets all these clutter throughout the day and different things that we do. We pick up these. And then if we have a technique that can just take it and wipe it all out of our mind, how nice would it be, right? We'd be so clear.
Well, that's exactly what the Patanjali Sutras identifies as what yoga is. That's when your thought waves cease to exist. That's when yoga begins.
Yes.
And so it's that the clearing of the mind. That's the hardest part of it, because that little man or that little woman that lives inside of your head, it screams so loud, which is the ego, right?
Yes, yes.
And so when it starts screaming loud, it wants you to do things or wants you to behave a particular way, then what do you do?
Well, that's a very deep question you asked there, It's almost like, what is ego, right?
What is ego?
What is ego? Growing up, we have learned through our society that ego is bad. But is ego really bad, right? When we say ego in spiritual sense, it's actually a sense of separation. When there are 7 levels of existence, right? We have the body, breath, mind, and then we have the intellect that helps us decide what is right or wrong. And then we have memory, and then we have ego after that, right? And when we transcend the ego, we go into the self, right? And the ego is the sense of separation that we feel, right, with each other. Whether you feel that ego as that you're superior to them or inferior to them or you're different from them, right? That is the sense of ego. And sometimes when you have ego, it helps also to, that because we have our ego, we want to keep ourselves together. We want to appear a certain way.
So could you call it like a personality?
I think so. If we look at it as a personality, right? And at the same time, how do we then make sure that the ego actually serves us? Right? How does it actually become our companion to guide us, as we go through our journey and to go beyond the ego into the self? Right? So that is the beauty of all the learning these techniques, is that how do you go beyond the ego?
And that's the journey of life,
Yes.
right? It's like you transcend like these different levels of obstacles and things in life, experiences, whatever happens in relationships or whatever, and then you keep going beyond that. And what does that help the ego to grow or to break up, or what happens to that?
There is the founder of Art of Living, Sri Ravi Shankar. He says ego dissolves in love.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. What do all of us want in life? We all want to be loved. Every living being, everyone who's existing wants to be loved and wants to we share love, right? And ego is what prevents us from doing that. So when we have that love, for each other, for the whole humanity. And that's where we become a one world family. You know, Sri Sri calls it the Vasudhaiva Kudumbakam, you know, one world family. You know.
That's beautiful. So it's like, I mean, I'm just listening to you. It sounds so beautiful that love dissolves everything. And that I think that resistance we have to, you know, like racism and, you know, prejudices and discrimination and all these things, they're all just that facet of the part of ego that is not allowing you to truly see yourself.
Yes.
Right? It's like there's something in between yourself and who you possibly could be, your true self, your higher self.
Yes, because like we talked about ego being that sense of separation. And then, but when you go beyond it and when you go to the core, we are all one. Right? When you go to the self, you and I are not different, and we are not different from every living being. Right? We have that oneness, right? When we feel that oneness, all these boundaries of racism or any other way by which we are separated will just drop, you know. And there's love. It only love remains.
Well, we need that in this world today.
Yes.
So what's the magic pill?
What's the magic pill? Well, I do invite everybody to come and attend the happiness program. First step of change is to start with oneself. Right? When we start with ourselves and we take a step to take care of ourselves, then we get the energy and strength to go and make a difference in the world.
Yeah, and I think there was a little statistic that you had that showed, you know, certain things, and I think we have that graphic coming up pretty soon. But if you can speak about that.
Absolutely. You know, there's also a lot of health benefits and well-being that comes out of practicing the sky technique and breathing. One is, if you see, you know, there's a lot of stress, right? There's a lot of stress that is there, you know, different types of stress, relationship stress, financial stress, health stress, you know, all these, or even driving in traffic, right?
Oh, boy. Well, there, we have the statistics up now. And
Yes, and so by practicing the breathing techniques and the sky technique, number one, you see that the stress hormones come down, right? Cortisol, stress hormones come down.
Yes.
And your well-being, your prolactin increases, and you're able to sleep better.
Can sleep deeper and better.
Deeper and better, right? And the stress and depression, those decrease. And this is so critical for us in this society. You know, everybody, you know, is going through this journey of their life. And many people, as they are going through it, and when they are facing some of these barriers, then going through those sadness and going into depression. Did you know, like, you know, the most medicines that are given out are for depression?
Yes.
Right? It is very sad, right? And we have the power to change that. And we have it within us. We breathe. That the first act when we are born is to take a deep breath.
Right.
Right?
That's when you know the baby's first cry is like the sound, music to the parents' ears.
Exactly, right? And all through our life, we are breathing in and out, in and out. And when we use our breath and breathe in a certain way, then we don't need to experience all those sadness or, you know, those thoughts that don't serve us. You know? And that's why that's the beauty of the breath, using the breath and meditation.
Well, that's really lovely. You know, there's people that don't know anything about meditation. What is it? You know, they don't want to go and they won't go to a website to go find it. They won't go to, go find a yoga class or something. What is it that you can tell them? What is it that you can tell them that they can start doing to have an experience so that experience can lead them to this gift that you're talking about?
Well, the good news is now with technology, all these meditation is at our fingertips, right? In fact, we have an app called members.artofliving.org that there's lots of meditations that are online, and people are welcome to go and experience that, and guided meditations, listen to some of the knowledge that's being shared, which helps one to see past some of those situations that are unpleasant. So that was the first step. If suppose somebody is looking to get a first taste, it's right there on our phones. We can
Right.
just pull up the website,
Yeah.
and it's at the fingertips.
Yeah, because most of the times when a person gets sad or feels lonely or feels depression, I mean the thing is that they feel separate, this feeling of being separate and being very alone in their own universe.
Yes.
And to break out of that, they have to make an effort to connect. And through the breath is a great connection. Because that
Absolutely.
you don't have to find some other person. You can yourself take a deep breath
Yes.
and find yourself first,
Yes.
and then take a decision to go and perhaps look for someone that can. But many times I think I have also seen that when you ask, it shall be given, right? So when you are in that state of mind, or you feel down or depressed or lonely, it is good to ask for that help. Just ask the universe. And I know, so you're the right person to talk to, because you're VP of marketing, partner, angel investor, someone that you looked at like very logical and the pitta we say in Ayurveda, right?
Left brain.
The left brain person.
Yes.
Yes, and here you are talking about meditation and how much it's helped you and keeps you grounded, and also keeps you moving so fast, because I know you move very fast.
Yes, I do.
You're on top of everything. It's quite amazing to see, I mean, your life. I mean, I have the privilege to know you and your life, so I'm honored with that.
Thank you.
But it's really amazing to see, how does one balance all that out? Because most people get caught up with that, and then they no longer can get out of it. And then you're like a hamster on the wheel.
Yes.
There's no escape.
Yes.
And then you get sick or
Yes.
something like that happens.
And I learned that the hard way, right? I mean, you think that when there is experience, from that comes wisdom, right? So
Right.
I did learn that the hard way too. I was introduced to meditation and breathing by my mother, and I am so grateful to her
Oh, that's
that
nice.
she introduced me at when I was 19 years old. And at that time, I was like, like any other teenager. I said, why do I need this, Mom? I know what I need, usual
Yeah, you always know
teenager.
more than your mom at 19.
Exactly,
Of course,
exactly,
that's
right?
just the nature of the game.
Exactly. And I am so glad she actually held my hand, and she took me, and we did it together. It was a beautiful experience,
Oh, that's
right?
something to cherish.
That is, and I could see the difference, right? I was, I was able to actually go across all the health issues, by practicing the meditation on a daily basis. I was able to then bring my mind to a calm state. Whatever might be happening around, whatever the stress, that might be health stress, or even as we were going through some of the financial difficulties, I was able to overcome all that, right? Because inside me, I was strong. I was strong because I was centering my mind, and that's what I
And
would say.
I think we have to stop there, because just looking at what you just said, that all these worldly chaos is going on, everything, because it's the world in motion, and things get created because you're in action. But in all of that, you were centered with your mind.
Yes.
And the monkey mind, I think
Yes.
that monkey mind we were talking about.
Yes, and I would like to share something that happened very recently. My mother was diagnosed with cancer, which was very unfortunate, right? Nobody needs to go through that.
Yes.
And I had had the difficult decision to make on her behalf for her to go through surgery. And thankfully now she's 100% cancer free, which is wonderful. I know I'm really grateful to the divine. Now, as I was helping her through that, I was able to come, center my mind, calm my mind. And that the first thing I did when I heard the news and when I had to take a decision, the first thing I did, I sat down and did my practice. Right? And then after that, I could clearly see what needed to be done. And even in that dire moment, I was able to go through it because of what I had learned, and
So
go
let
ahead.
me ask you this. So what happens in that moment? Because you're talking about an experience, and it's not something that is logically explained. So what is your experience when you have the ability to stop your mind, what happens in that?
Well, you know, when we stop our mind, and this is my personal experience, then intuition takes over.
Ah,
You know, we have actually two brains in our body, and I don't need to tell you this, you are the expert.
but our
And
listeners need to hear it. So,
absolutely. We have our brain,
Mhm.
and then we have our intuition, the gut, which is like a second brain. And as we meditate and as we practice these techniques, the gut grows to big size. And when then it starts telling us, we start getting these intuition on what is the right thing to do, what is the right course of action. And again, as we practice meditation and we clear the mind, then our intuitive power guides us. It's a guiding force. We talked about the inner power, right? Awakening the inner
so,
power.
so, so that's it. That's how you awaken the inner power. So you basically meditate, and you continuously do that. So for the logical people, this is the process. Step
That's right.
one,
That's
sit
right.
down. Step two,
Breathe.
meditate.
Breathe and
breathe.
meditate. Breathe first, then meditate.
Step two, breathe. Step three, meditate. And then what?
And then you see the magic happen.
And then you allow your intuition, not your belly to grow, but your but your but your intuition will kick in,
Intuition,
right?
yes.
Because everybody's talking about mindfulness now and being intuitive. I'm intuitively helping people and things like that. But it's so important to have that practice yourself,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
And then being able to grow that. I love the way that's explained, though. That's beautiful. I've never heard it like that. That there's the two brains, and see, that's why we have to be quiet sometimes to allow in the listening. The power of listening is incredible because you learn so much.
Absolutely.
Yeah. So how can people? I know you've got some retreats coming up or something. So tell us about that.
Absolutely. Mother's Day is coming up.
Uh-huh.
And so we've organized a special retreat called the Happiness Retreat, which combines both, how to eat, what is the best way to eat for the season, which you would like. It's the Ayurvedic way, right?
Okay. Yes.
And then, and combining that with some skincare. We have experts in that area coming. And then finally, we have the happiness program. So it's a complete experience for moms to come together. And
What if somebody's not a mom? Can they come?
well, we have separate retreats for dads too, so we have 2 retreats coming up in May and June. And certainly we started with the Mother's Day and we'll continue.
See, you're such a
with-
mom because my question was the women who may not have children.
I see. Okay.
Because you're on the mom and dad gear.
Yes.
But there's a lot of people who can they come? Can
Yes,
women come?
absolutely. Anybody can, we are making it a special experience.
Okay.
And people are welcome to come, and we want to make it a very holistic experience, right?
Nice.
And
yeah.
then, of course, there are several other courses in the URL that I shared, like earlier, like www.artofliving.org, and anybody can go and sign up for courses. There are courses across the Bay Area and across the U.S. and across the
Okay.
world too.
Okay. Yeah, I've met some amazing people through the Art of Living teachers, and they've also come to me for Ayurvedic services and all that, and I've gotten to know them and learned more about Art of Living. It's really quite nice to see how this this one vision has grown across the world and just spreading love,
Absolutely.
and it's quite nice to see that.
Yeah, it's beautiful. I had the opportunity and the privilege to actually be part of the World Culture Festival.
Oh, in Delhi.
In Delhi,
Oh.
where 3.5 million people,
3.5 million people.
we came together.
Wow.
And we meditated, and we all had countries. We had over 150 countries, and all countries came and did a performance. In fact, USA, about more than 90 of us did a hip hop dance.
Oh, wow.
I was one of them.
Did you record that?
Yes.
I have to see it.
Yes, it is. And it was
We should have had
beautiful
it today, so we
experience.
could have showed you doing hip hop.
Hip hop
That's
with the
nice.
USA flag. It was beautiful. Yeah.
That's
But the
fun.
beauty is that everybody coming together,
Yes.
the 3.5 million people, and meditating together, that was a beautiful experience
That's
of bringing world
incredible.
peace and love, to the
Yeah,
community.
That's incredible.
Yeah.
To see 3.5 million people. How did they even fit 3.5 million people in Delhi?
Well, we had a big
That happened, huh?
Yes, big crowds.
Wow,
Yes.
that's incredible.
Mhm.
So, what would you like people to know about meditation and your message? What
Mhm.
is something that you'd like them to walk away with?
Well, oftentimes we don't take care of ourselves, and be it as moms, dads, or individuals, we don't put ourselves first. When people say we need to put ourselves first, it actually is a positive thing, because when we take care of ourselves, we can take care of others much more easily,
Absolutely.
right? And so that's why what my message is, do not even hesitate, just take the step, right? Go and learn the sky technique, the meditation, and you're now taking care of yourself, and you'll see how much you can bring value to the society, to your family, to the community. Then you will see that you will become a superpower, right?
Mm.
Your inner power grows, and your superpowers grow, you know
Your intuition grows. Your
intuition, your
intuition grows.
creativity,
Uh-huh.
and then that way you blossom, right? Everybody can blossom and find out what their true calling is, right? That's what I was able to do.
Mm.
So certainly first step is to make sure that you take care of yourself by learning these techniques and practicing them, right? Practicing them on a daily basis.
That's lovely. I think there's so much value that you've shared today,
Mhm.
and it's incredible to hear. I mean, I hear so much about meditation from different kinds of people, and I always learn something new, which is incredible. But it's all, the foundation of it is to get to the bottom of how can we be more in love.
Mhm. Yes.
How can we be more in love with ourselves first, and not the ego love
Mhm.
that you're full of yourself,
Mhm.
but be in love with that authentic, that higher self and that higher place.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and so is there anything else that you'd like to share? Because
Well,
just
how
any
about
final
we do
words?
a quick demonstration?
Well, we're out of
We're
time
out of
now,
time.
but we
Oh,
can
okay.
maybe do it next time.
Sounds good.
But it's been such a pleasure to have you here with us, Preethy, and I'm truly honored to have you join us and share all this wonderful wisdom with us. Thank you so much for coming.
Thank you, Geeta, for having me. Man, we burned through 28 minutes.